I am the Vice Chair of the Climate Protection Steering Committee. I am standing in today for our Chair, Robin Ganal, who is not able to attend. Before we get going with our events today, I do want to take a moment to welcome our two newest members and give them a chance to introduce themselves for people who are in attendance and people who may be watching this recording later. So I will start with Shirley. Shirley, welcome. Please feel free to introduce yourself.
Hi, thank you. My name is Shirley Mata. I live here in the edge of Kansas City, close to Claycomo by the Ford plant. I do work for Ford Motor Company and I am UAW Local 249.
Okay, and then Bo, welcome and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, I'm Bo Marino. I'm the business manager of IBW Local Union 124. Live in Kansas City all my life, and I live in Blue Springs. There we go.
Okay, well, welcome to you both. We're both happy to have you on the committee. I'll also give a moment for the other members to introduce themselves. So yeah, so I'll let folks come off of mute at their leisure. Don't make me pick on you.
I guess I'll start. Ellen Fairchild, work at Evergy, Chief Compliance Officer.
I can go next. I'm Angela Crawford, Membership and Marketing Vice President at the Builders Association, Associated General Contractors of Kansas City.
I can go. I'm Bridget Sanderson, the Director of Environment Missouri.
Okay.
I can go next. My name is Beth Pauley. I live in the Waldo area, and I'm the Program Director for Energy Justice at Climate and Energy Projects.
Right.
I'm Bill Griffith. I'm a resident of Kansas City, Missouri, live up in the Briar Cliff area.
Is that everyone? I think that might be everyone. Okay. So before we move any further, I do apologize. I did jump a little bit on the agenda. We do need to approve the minutes from the last meeting. Let me see, from the May 2nd meeting. Were there any comments or corrections for those minutes?
I had a comment and perhaps a question. At the end of the last meeting, there was a conversation about publishing the documents that the committee voted on. And I thought, my memory might be fuzzy, but I thought we decided that those would be included. So I didn't see that conversation reflected in the minutes. It was at the last minute of the meeting. So I was just wondering if we were still planning to do that, and if so, if we could make a slight change to the minutes to reflect that.
I think we had discussed that. Let me see. Andy, were we able to add that into the minutes for the meeting? That conversation?
We can certainly add it. I don't quite remember having the conversation. I don't remember the specifics, though, what we agreed we were going to add to the minutes or not. Okay. So I'll have to go back and review the recording, but we can certainly make amendments to that. Okay.
So Beth, we will work on. We'll take another look at that and see if we can do that.
Beth, the way that it's reflected in the minutes is it says see attached documents. Do you see where it says that?
Okay, and then the documents will be published when the meeting minutes are published. Is that what?
That's correct.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good to me then.
Okay. Okay. Are there any other comments or questions on the minutes from members of the committee? Okay, seeing none, can I get a motion to approve the May minutes with the, I mean, since we already made the change, do we still need to make the change? I don't think we do. No, okay. So just approving the May 2nd meetings minutes as is. Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been seconded by Ellen. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 All those opposed? Okay, motion passes. Okay, so I believe the next item that we have on our agenda is Bridget Sanderson will be discussing the balanced energy resolution number 220442. Bridget, the floor is yours.
All right. So yes, I wrote these comments from the perspective of the steering committee to go to the city council for the resolution that's happening on Wednesday. Should I share my screen and read it, or has anybody looked over it already and want to start? I guess I should probably share it.
Can we start by talking a little bit about what the balanced energy resolution is and then going into the comments?
Yep. So this resolution is basically a double dipped opportunity for Spire Gas, our natural gas companies, to basically have us. It's another preemption on the city council that they would vote on for themselves, in which they couldn't change building codes to reflect easing off of natural gas. It's very similar to the preemption that we already have across the state. So I think that's a pretty good overview of it. And then I don't know if I have sharing capabilities or if somebody else wants to pull it up.
You should be able to share.
Oh, I see. Okay. Now let's make sure I actually remember where I put this. Hold tight. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and share. There's a lot of tabs. I'm sorry. I am that person. Oh, sorry. It's going so slow. Okay. So can everybody see this? Great. So basically, I just wrote up a really brief little thing. It says members of the Transportation, Infrastructure, and Operations Committee, as members of the Climate Protection Steering Committee, appointed by the mayor to assist the City Council in updating the Climate Protection and Resiliency Plan, we urge the City Council to reject Resolution number 220442. With the assistance of the Office of Environmental Quality, we have combed through the hundreds of comments from the public, community stakeholders, and city staff, and incorporated many of those comments into the updated climate protection plan. That plan includes guidance on the usage of natural gas moving forward. Last year, the state legislators in Jefferson City passed a bill that banned Kansas City from mandating any building codes concerning energy sources. At this point, the steering committee does not see a need for this resolution. Kansas City remains in a unique position to become a leader in climate action with the update of the Climate Protection Plan and other legislation, which can enable us to provide clean air and water for Kansas Cityans today and tomorrow. Natural gas combustion, while better than coal burning, remains a volatile fossil fuel that produces methane and increases our greenhouse gas emissions. Burning natural gas in our homes and schools has detrimental effects on our health, but especially on higher risk Kansas Cityans, including children, the elderly, and communities with lower incomes. Natural gas produces many air pollutants and is one of the leading causes of carbon monoxide poisoning. With regards to efficiency, natural gas has to be transported into our homes and businesses along antiquated infrastructure with little knowledge of where methane leaks are occurring. These methane leaks pollute our air, leading to worsening asthma, pulmonary heart disease, and cancer. We want to see healthy homes, businesses, and schools in Kansas City, and keeping these buildings connected to natural gas increases health inequities across our city. The City Council has stated multiple times in legislation that climate change is an emergency that demands our collective attention and action. This process is an all-hands-on-deck situation, and as quickly as possible, Kansas City must reduce our reliance on fossil fuels, including natural gas. Due to the preemption from Jefferson City and our need to upgrade our power grid towards renewable energy, this proposed legislation isn't needed. Please vote no on resolution number 220442. Great. So I'm going to stop sharing this so I can see everybody. Okay, so any comments? I can change anything in that, have at it.
I guess I'll start then. The letter that the EMC submitted about the resolution, again, they were submitted it that they weren't in favor of the city passing the resolution, but it seemed a little bit more balanced around why, that around preempting the city's flexibility because it's already in place and was, didn't spend 2 paragraphs talking about natural gas, where I really do think we need a balanced approach as we move through the transition. And so while maybe the resolution isn't perfect, I think talking about balance and affordability and reliability are what we should focus on and not necessarily talk about all the negatives of a certain energy source.
Ellen, I haven't seen EMC's letter, so I'll look at that.
Really quick, I see we have another member who's joined. Tom, would you just take a moment to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everybody. I'm sorry I'm late for the meeting. Tom Griever, attorney here in Kansas City, member of the commission for about the past 3 terms, I believe.
Okay. Thank you, Tom. Bill has his hand raised.
Yeah, I think the letters that you've put together, Bridget, is overall good. Obviously, we could wordsmith it a little bit one way or another. One word I would avoid as we move to the future is balanced. In this case, I think it's a very unhelpful word because we are trying to become imbalanced, and the IPCC, as it's looking forward to, as it's urging us to go, for example, to decarbonization of buildings, you have to do that in an unbalanced manner. You have to electrify buildings, as an example. Moving toward renewable energy or more renewable energy will imbalance the system a little bit. So while balance normally sounds like a good word, in this case, I'm a firm believer it is not, and I would urge that we do not use the word balance. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Beth has her hand raised.
Thanks, Michael. Yeah, I generally support the letter that Bridget wrote, as well as Bill's sentiments. It is 2022 and our time is running out. I think that we need to be pointed. I think that we need to be very specific, and I think we need to be ambitious. We were appointed to the Climate Protection Steering Committee with that very job at hand. And I think when pieces of legislation are introduced that threaten our city's ability to meet our climate goals, then we need to state that, and we need to state why, and we need to state why we are bringing forth certain recommendations. So I want to just say that I feel very strongly that we should be stating what Bridget had stated in terms of the climate hazards of natural gas, and I too would like to avoid the term balanced.
I guess I could
Okay.
answer Angela's
Yeah.
question. Angela asked, Bridget, I've not seen a reference to balanced in your letter draft. I think that the idea of the title of the resolution is the Balanced Energy Resolution. And I think Ellen was bringing up a point that we should be talking about having all fuel sources, energy sources.
Well, I think balance is not only energy sources, it's affordability and reliability, making sure that, we're not having detrimental impacts on affordability and reliability as we move to a low carbon future. So perhaps balance is not the right word, but those are critical.
Bill, is your hand raised for another comment, or is it just
Yes,
okay.
it is. Yes,
Oh,
it
okay.
is.
Please go ahead.
Right. And it's piggybacking on what Ellen said. I have no issue with the word affordability. As we electrify everything, what our studies are showing that electrifying a lot of the buildings will actually cost less than using natural gas. So it's a win-win there. So I have no issue with the affordability at all. I just want to avoid the term balance, to be clear.
Tom, yes, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Michael. Yeah, I think I largely agree with Ellen's comments and with what Bill just said too about affordability as well. I think that's what struck me when I read the draft letter. Maybe what was missing was an acknowledgement or a recognition that we as a commission are considering and not ignoring the cost impacts on ratepayers potentially during this transition period. I think I do agree with the letter that it's probably an unnecessary piece of legislation given the state's current preemption. So I think the overall point of the letter is right. But I think as a document going to City Council, I think we just ought to acknowledge that we are considering these things in our overall deliberations in formulating the plan, and we're not ignorant or dismissive of the potential cost impacts.
Understood. Thank you, Tom. If folks are fine with it, I do have the letter from the EMC. If folks would like for me to read that as well, I was involved in those conversations and can speak to that side of the coin as well, if folks would like.
Mike, this is Andy. I'm emailing it to the steering committee right now, actually, as well.
Oh, okay. Never mind then. We're good. So, Tom, do you have another comment that you wanted to make? Okay.
No.
So, yeah. So if folks have their hands up and then, okay. Yeah. I will note the EMC letter has already been sent. And I think it was mentioned by one of the council members to ask someone from the EMC to attend the meeting on Wednesday. So there will likely be someone from the EMC at the TIO meeting on Wednesday morning. So are there any additional comments or questions? Yes, Tom.
Sorry, Michael, just one more as I'm reading through the paragraph on the impacts of methane leaks. I think we probably just want to be careful when we're saying things about some things causing certain health impacts, especially cancer, things like that. To the extent that we're not authorities, I'm certainly not an authority on it. I can't speak to that. If we can modify things like that to say studies suggest or studies have shown or something that qualifies statements like that, because I don't know that I personally haven't. I don't know that we have as a committee have established those types of cause and effect relationships between, in this case, methane. But anytime we speak to health effects, I think we need to be concerned about how we're couching it.
Okay. Andy, I see that your hand's up.
Yeah, just a logistical issue. I just want to clarify that this letter was requested, or the comments from the steering committee have been requested from Councilman Shields. So being that this is addressed to TIO, Just a reminder, Councilwoman Shields is not on TIO. So if I might suggest.
Councilwoman Shields is a member of TIO.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, you're right. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong committee list. My apologies. My suggestion would still be still to address, you might consider addressing your response to the whole mayor and council. Just so that, yeah, I do need more coffee. Thank you. But yeah, just something to consider, because I think that was just what Shields wanted, to get that information out to the whole body of council.
Okay.
That's all. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you. Okay. So if I'm understanding this correctly, it seems like the preference of the committee would be to clarify a little bit on the health effects and also the use of the term balance. Do I have that correct, more or less?
Well, I don't think the letter uses the term balanced. I think that conversation was in response to Ellen's comment.
Oh, okay. Understood. So thank you for the clarification. Andy, did you have another thing to say? Okay,
No,
gotcha. Okay. So I think that the main edit for the letter at this point was just the couching of the language per Tom's suggestion. Bridget, do you think we can do that? Okay. So obviously before we send it, we would need to have agreement on that. So with that in mind, can I get a motion to transmit the letter drafted by Bridget with the inclusion of the changes that Tom had suggested?
Motion.
Okay. Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, it was seconded. I'll give it to Bill. So all those in favor of transmitting the letter, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
I'm not opposed to necessarily sending a letter, but I'm not comfortable voting on it until I see a redraft that's more, that is, yeah. So I guess my vote is no, based on this current draft, based on this, without seeing it again, and seeing how we address affordability, reliability, and focus more on pointing back to the state already has things in place around what balanced energy is the way they called it, but versus needing a separate resolution at the city level.
Yeah.
So really more tailored to the EMC version than this one seems a little bit more aggressive, perhaps.
And I guess my response to that wasn't really a consensus among the discussion. So it seems like that would hold up this process, because there was really only one person who wanted the language to be heavily revised, and most of the consensus revolved around Tom's suggestion to ensure that we are invoking research rather than ourselves positioning as research. So I just want to clarify that we're not heavily revising that out. We are the Climate Protection Steering Committee. We're not the EMC, and we have the agency to make our own recommendations.
I would guess my vote is no then.
Yeah, and I should clarify, I guess, my earlier comment. I did have the comments on the health effects. I did also echo the sentiment that Ellen raised about at least mentioning in here that we do consider affordability. So it looks like we're not, again, ignoring that. So I would prefer to see that, something that acknowledges that in here as well. And so if we're not doing that, I would have to vote no as well, unless we saw a revised draft.
Yeah, I think there was more of a consensus around the affordability piece. I just didn't hear a consensus around weakening the language to make it, to ignore the health impacts of natural gas and the climate impacts of natural gas. But I did hear more of a consensus around acknowledging that we have been prioritizing the affordability piece.
Okay, so then, with that being said, Bridget, will you be able to add in language about the affordability piece and share it with the other members of the committee? Okay.
Yep.
Andy, is there anything specific we would need to do with the revised version before it's transmitted to the TIO committee?
So am I hearing that you need to kind of get approval from the rest of the committee of whatever the changes are on this letter? Is that what we were trying to do? Because that's the challenge, is that when you're dealing with the sunshine law things, anything over a quorum is
Right.
supposed to be out in terms of sunshine for the public to see. So I'm not sure how we accomplish that voting on a letter when you're not all together as a group.
Right.
Okay,
Since they
how
were
about,
minor
I've got an
edits-
idea. Oh, sorry, Beth, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, since they were pretty minor edits, Bridget, would you just be able to,
Yeah, I was just gonna
Do it
say,
right.
let's table this for right now. Let me edit it. It won't take me too long. I can double task and we will get back to this at the end.
Okay, so setting
That's
that
okay.
aside for the time being, we'll let Bridget handle that. The next item I think we had on the agenda here, Andy, I think you were going to give us an update for the building codes.
Yeah, sure. I'll try to draw out my comments as much as I can for you, Bridget. Get to typing. So I'm going to drop in the chat here a link to the city's website. So as many of you know, we've been working, seems like forever, on trying to get the city to move forward with the latest energy code, building energy code, for both residential and commercial buildings. And so finally, we have a proposed ordinance for adopting the 2021 IECC for both building and residential and commercial buildings. So as this process proceeds forward, what happened is Councilman Boo is sponsoring the legislation. It was introduced and then it was assigned to the Neighborhoods Committee, Neighborhood Planning and Development Committee. The mayor and council held that from committee so that would give us time to collect input from the community on the energy code proposal. So with that, with the link that I sent you, what's being proposed or what we're going to do is on Wednesday, the 25th at 4 o'clock. We're going to do it both live and virtual. We're going to, in the council chambers, have city planning and development do a presentation on the energy code. So it's going to be just kind of a high level overview of what the energy code is, what it's meant to do, and what the basic changes are being proposed. So kind of a brief, maybe 20-minute presentation from city planning and development, a PowerPoint presentation, somewhere around 10 slides or so, to kind of take everybody through the basics of energy code. The audience for this is not just the public, but we are really focusing on trying to get council to be available during this public information session. So what's going to happen, Councilman Boo is going to kind of chair this particular meeting. City Planning will do the presentation, and then their staff and myself will be available to answer questions that are directed from council. So it gives council kind of an opportunity to ask more pointed questions about the code, how that, I'm there to kind of represent the direction of the Climate Protection Resilience Plan and how the energy code kind of ties into that. So we'll be fielding questions from council in that regard. Then essentially it'll be turned over to the public to basically offer comment. We as staff are not going to be necessarily answering specific questions from the public. It's more of a listening session from the community. So Councilman Boo is going to be moderating this, and so she's been instructed to kind of, we might answer some very simple basic questions about the code, the structure, but we're not going to be getting into any debates about, how much more energy efficient this code is versus the last, modeling, studies, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, that's going to be left up to the stakeholders, the public to provide that testimony. So this is your first opportunity to kind of provide information to council, which we hope are going to be in attendance. So that's the basic game plan of this. Again, there will be a standard testimony process that is still going to be in place. So if it doesn't get held longer, it looks like they will still be planning to meet in front of committee on June 8th. So at 1:30 is when they're planning to take testimony officially during that particular committee meeting. So that's kind of the timeline that this is on. Check out the website. There's information there on how you can submit email testimony, or you can always do it virtual and in person on the June 8th committee meeting. But your first opportunity this week on Wednesday is just kind of an information gathering session for council. So kind of hopefully I've explained that well enough to, this is kind of new. We don't do this often, these kinds of public town hall forums. We have to be careful about how we do them. And so we think we've got it set up just about right. So any questions from the committee?
Oh, I was going to ask, it's fine if there's no issue with us sharing the link to encourage folks to participate and comment and join the meeting, correct?
No, it's live now. So yeah, certainly.
Okay. Great. So so members of the committee, please feel free to share this with your networks and encourage people to provide comment ahead of the meeting and attend if they are able to.
Yeah, it
So,
starts at 4, and I've heard them talk to that we will go as late as 7. So it could be a long, late afternoon.
understood. Okay, are there any additional questions? Okay, not seeing any. Andy, thank you very much for that update and for sharing the link. Okay, Andy, it's you again. The Solarize Kc.
Sure. Bridget, I'm trying. I hope you're coming along. Okay. So
Yeah, sorry,
same
Andy, I turned my camera off so you guys didn't have to watch my thinking face.
that's fine. Keep going. All right. So this one, this is an update to Solarize Kc. So again, I dropped a link in the chat. We are officially not live yet in terms of the campaign starting, but we've already released a press announcement about it. So that came out last week. So for those of you that aren't familiar with what this is, we as the city, along with several of our coalition partners, including the Sierra Club, and Billy's here. You can thank Billy. He's been very helpful in this whole project as well. But U.S. Green Building Council, Westside Housing, My Region Wins, Climate and Energy Project. I'm sure I'm missing a few. Let's see, Metropolitan Energy Center. Several folks have been kind of helping us kind of build out this campaign to do kind of a group procurement process on solar. And that's solar for residential, commercial, and nonprofits. So we have been working since February to put this program together. We have an installer on board, and no, we don't have a warehouse full of solar panels that we're just going to provide that we've already bulk purchased. That's what I get a lot of questions about it. Now our solar installer might have those, but essentially the way this works is we have 8 tiers of pricing. So for those folks that want to sign up for a free estimate, basically, or an evaluation, if they go through it with the project, essentially participation in this program will start you out at around a 20% discount compared to manufacturer's suggested retail pricing. And then where the bulk purchase part comes into it is for the more kilowatts that we contract with the residents and commercial, the lower the price goes. So we have 8 tiers of pricing. The per watt price continues to drop through each tier based on participation in this project. And at the end of the day, we could get up to a possible 25% discount, not even factoring in your tax credits that you might be available to get. So pretty exciting project. We are officially launching June 7th. We're going to do the launch event at Operation Breakthrough at the, what's it, the, oh, help me out here, Billy. Where are we starting out here? It's at the Innovation
Center.
Yeah. So it's like 38th or so and 33rd and Troost, I believe it is. So the launch event will be about an hour, hour and a half long. We're inviting the public to be there to kind of hear presentations from the mayor, the city manager, coalition partners will have a chance to speak. You'll get a chance to meet the installer, kind of have a chance to look at the solar panels themselves. So it's just kind of a good event overall. So I'm sorry, Beth, did I give a different date?
I thought you said June 7th, but I may have
Okay.
misheard.
You're right, it's the 6th, it's Monday, right?
Yes.
Yep, so June 6th, Monday, 6 p.m. And yeah, we're pretty excited about the launch. The media attention's been pretty strong so far. And the website is live and we've already been getting people signing up in advance. So not even a week live on our website and we've got over 100 people signed up for their free assessment. So having somebody come out and do the assessment is doesn't cost anything. You're not obligated to participate, but you will get an assessment of how beneficial a solar program will be or solar installation will be for your house or your commercial business or a nonprofit if you run one. So pretty excited. Campaign will be only through the summer. We don't have it closed. We don't have an endpoint yet on that, but probably the end of September. So it's kind of sign up while you can between June and end of September. Let's see what else. Well, I'll take questions. That might help, but that's the gist of it. Billy, feel free to jump in if I missed anything pertinent. I guess I should mention we will have a pathway for low and moderate income families to participate in this program. We're still kind of working on that. We don't want it to interfere with the launch of this campaign because this is available to pretty much anybody in the metropolitan area. So, you know, and that includes on the Kansas side as well. So that will kick off on June 6th, but shortly thereafter, you'll start hearing more about Share the Sun, which is the LMI component of this program. So you'll hear more about that later. Okay, go ahead, Billy. Did anything you want to throw out there, or did I just take your thunder?
I think you crushed it, Andy. We'll just say I did add the full link, the address for the ignition lab. Excuse me, I misstated that before and the address. And there will, yeah, please do say that there will be information at the launch date about some of the Share the Sun resources and info sessions. We're trying to model off of the work that OAQ and this committee has done on the stakeholder engagement through the climate plan, trying to model those good practices, and hopeful to have some more good news on supporting that initiative so we can get as many, reach as many folks as possible, but yeah, save the date.
Okay, looks like Bo, I see you got your hand up.
Yeah, and forgive me, this is my first meeting, so who is the solar installer?
Sun Solar. Yeah, we did a competitive bid process and they were selected for both the residential and commercial part of this campaign. Bill?
Yeah, Andy, thanks for your work and everyone else's work on this. Can you give examples of the PR outreach that the city's going to do for businesses and residents on this?
So those are still being kind of worked on. We've got a marketing team that's part of our private partner, Solar Crowdsource, which they're located in Atlanta. So it's going to be kind of a variety. It's not just the city per se. I mean, the city kind of jumped on this early. We've got some other news that they're looking to put out here in the next week or so. So that's why we kind of preempted what the rest of the coalition may do. But yeah, there will be, a variety of different marketing things going on. We've talked about doing workshops, both virtual and in person, around various topics around solar installations. So we're still working through some of those details. Bill, I'm happy to take suggestions. I've already been asking people, if you're interested in solar, what might be some questions, or what are the things or hurdles that you might keep you from going forward with solar? So maybe we can craft some type of workshops around that to kind of ease their concerns in entering this particular type of installation. But, obviously, in terms of just getting the word out, Facebook, we're doing Twitter, will be used. The city's going to also do a few additional press announcements along the way. And that's not going to preempt, or it's not going to keep any of our coalition partners to use whatever avenues they have, which is why we were happy to bring them on board, is we know that they all have their own networks and distribution lists and whatever. So happy to have anybody support this. We have talked with folks at Evergy that they'll be supporting this as well. So we have a wide variety of people kind of helping out in different ways on this campaign. And it's just, there's just a lot of moving parts to this. And to be honest with you, it's a little fuzzy on all of them because I've been talking about this all day long and I'm starting to get a little tired of it. But lots of great work going on, and it's a really exciting campaign. So I'm really looking forward to getting this really rocking and rolling. So.
All right, thank.
Let's see who's next. Shirley?
Well, I'm excited about solar, but because I'm not quite sure how you guys have this set up, the energy that's collected off of our property or roof after we purchase the solar panels, the extra goes to the energy company?
Yeah. You talking about residential or commercial?
Residential. So how does the resident benefit when their property's not being rented or their roof is not being rented by the electric company, who is basically gaining most of, I mean, yes, we're getting a discount because we're using solar, but because I don't know all the ins and outs you do, that's a concern.
Yeah, sure. And I'm going to say I'm not the expert in this. I am a generalist in a lot of things. So maybe Beth can help out from Climate and Energy to answer some of these questions. But
yeah, if I can, so this is different from Evergy's solar subscription program, where you basically pay more on your bill and then they will procure utility scale solar, at some point once that threshold hits a certain mark. I'm not exactly sure what that threshold is. That would be an Ellen question. But this is specifically for distributed generation and residential solar, so that the homeowners and the building owners will receive those benefits back on their electricity bill. So it is a little bit different. Evergy does have a solar subscription service, but the way that this is set up is that it is bringing down that upfront cost that a lot of folks have. That prevents a lot of folks from installing residential solar and then receiving those benefits. And will bring down that upfront cost. And so those folks will receive the same benefits from residential solar. So it's not to be confused with Evergy's subscription solar program, which I know can get a little bit confusing, but it does have the same benefits as residential solar if you were to go out and purchase solar panels and then generate the electricity yourself.
Yeah, thank you, Beth. Yeah, so when you sign up for this assessment, the solar installer will come out to your residence. One of the things we're asking for up front is 1 year's worth of utility bills. So the installer has a team of folks that will look at your bills for the past year. They'll look at your orientation of the house and kind of come up with basically a cost benefit analysis for you. So you'll kind of see what percentage of your energy usage is going to be offset by use of the solar. The one thing I didn't mention is that you will also have the option to go with a battery storage system if you'd like as well to complement your solar installation. So we are getting a bit of a bulk rate on the battery storage. Not as big of a discount as we are on the solar installation. But for some folks that want that full package, that will be available. Generally in this area, that's probably not the norm. But anyhow, yeah, definitely different between the community solar and distributed. Oh, did you have another question, or is your hand still up from last time?
It's still up from last time.
Oh, it's probably
Thank
still up.
you.
I'm sorry. Lower hand. There you go. Sorry.
Okay. Angela?
Yes. I apologize if you addressed this and I missed it, but I've kind of been looking at the information as you've been speaking as well. Are multifamily homes going to be part of this initiative, or can they be? And how will that work with the bills? You know, with everybody having their own.
Now, we've had that conversation. It's not an easy. We don't have a solution for that necessarily. If the building owners wanted to participate in this, they're certainly welcome to do that. So we're not going to exclude anybody from participation. But we have talked about, you know, how do those savings get passed along to the residents, right? And that I don't think we have a direct solution for, even though our private partner has been looking at it on the East Coast and looking at some technology that will maybe be beneficial to campaigns like this down the road. But I would say at this stage of the game for our campaign, you know, it's really up to the building owners themselves, whether it's the homeowner or a building owner, to participate in this program and then discuss, you know, how do those savings get passed on to the residents.
So it may be more feasible than for like an HOA multifamily like residents than renters. Is that kind of what I'm hearing?
Probably. Okay, well, we'll have materials to share with folks. The marketing team is working on that, putting that stuff together. So as it becomes available, we'll send it out to our lists of folks, including the steering committee. You'll get an invitation. You'll see more specific information as it rolls out. Okay.
So I guess if there's nothing further on that, then the final thing we had was a joint presentation from Andy and Laura about, oh gosh, I'm missing it here. Now I can't find a tab. What was it supposed to be? I'm sorry.
Building performance standards.
That's correct. Yes, please go ahead.
Sure. So I'll take part of this, and if Laura's still with me, I'll turn it over to her to introduce Consuela. But as many of you know, we've been interested in building performance standards to help complement our energy empowerment program, aka benchmarking. So we, as the city, through the mayor's office, joined a national coalition with the White House to look at building performance standards. So us and several other cities and organizations meet with folks from the White House periodically to kind of talk about what a building performance standard policy looks like, with the goal of having all of these coalition cities work towards implementation of such a policy by Earth Day of 2024. So we've got essentially a 2-year period to work through this process. And so, you know, the mayor's office has been supportive of this, as well as the city manager's office. So we've been moving forward with that. One of the issues, as you all know, is staffing and resources. So we had the opportunity to bring on what's known as a FUSE fellow, and FUSE is an organization that brings on executive fellows. So we had some opportunity to bring somebody on staff here to help us with that. So Laura, are you with us? And would you like to do introductions?
I am here. Consuela McCain is our new Fuse Fellow. She was on here. I don't know if she's still on.
I'm here.
So I'm here. She's quiet. Yeah, she comes to us with a great background in not only equity, but working in construction, working with the chamber. And she's pretty excited about this. So I will let her just say hello if she's still around.
Hello, everybody. I'm still here. And I'm excited about this opportunity to work with building performance standards and really getting acquainted with each one of you in more detail. And as Laura has really my background in construction, working with the Greater Kansas City Chamber of Commerce, some municipality work with our neighbors, with the city of Olathe. I'm excited about this project and what it means for Kansas City as a whole. I am a native. I do see friendly companies on the line, so I'm very familiar with the folks over at Evergy. I work very closely with the supplier diversity folks, so Valerie Collazo, Maria Meyer, that team. And then I saw the builders on here as well in AGC. So John Greenwell is definitely a friend. And I just saw him Friday. So it feels good and it feels like home. So I'm excited to see what policy comes out of this and what we get to do next.
Thank you, Consuela. Laura, is there anything else you want to add about BPS?
I don't know. I had to step away for a little bit, so I don't know what was said before. Just that we're moving forward with it, and we are hoping to have a draft of some sort before Consuela's fellowship is up, which is in December, or no, is it April or it's April? Next April. So we have a year. She's like, no, not December. So we are looking forward to having something before she heads out next April. Maybe if we're lucky, we can extend that fellowship, but we'll see. Yeah, just excited to have her on board, and she's been going great guns on talking to the right people.
Okay, any questions about BPS? All right. That's it for us, Michael.
Okay. Well, Laura, Andy, thank you very much. So we will bring it back to the top with Bridget. I assume everyone was able to see the proposed language that she had put in the chat. Getting mostly nods, some blank stares.
She also sent an email.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Shirley.
I can't find a chat on this. This is my first time on a Microsoft one.
Oh, got it. Here, let me see if I can find it really quick. So the two pieces of additional language that Bridget had put forth. The first part is studies have shown that methane leaks pollute our air, leading to worsening asthma, pulmonary heart disease, and cancer. And then the second one is throughout the drafting process, the steering committee have focused on an equitable climate plan with regards to affordability and reliability during our transition to a cleaner, healthier Kansas City. We understand that the transition from fossil fuels to renewable energy will impact all Kansas Cityans and have put recommendations in the plan that reflect that. Okay, so does anyone have any additional questions or comments about the proposed language? Okay, so seeing none, can I get a motion to include this language in the proposed letter and to send it to the TIO committee?
Motion.
Motion from Beth. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second from Bill. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
And yes, Angela
Aye.
was when he was reading it that I realized that.
Mhm. Okay. There was a slight change from Angela, and we can do that, right? Okay, cool. All those opposed?
Aye, opposed.
Okay. Right. The motion passes. So Bridget, you'll make the change that Angela had suggested, include that language in the letter, and then share it with Andy so he can transmit to the full TIO committee. Great. Thank you. So we do have some time. So we do have some time for public comment. If anyone would like to provide some public comment, we do just, or I'm sorry, Andy, real quick.
Yeah, I wanted to get just kind of an announcement. I've done this with EMC already. In terms of public announcement about these meetings, we are kind of pulling back on sending these particular steering committee meeting invitations to our full distribution list. We are strongly recommending that if you are interested in following up with the steering committee, the actual process is through our city clerk's page. So we are just kind of putting word out to our folks, and we'll send an email out through that same distribution list as well. But we can no longer kind of send these meeting invitations out to anybody other than the steering committee. The rest of that will be posted on the city clerk's page where the official notification process really occurs for the city. We've run into some hiccups in trying to be accommodating, and in the process of trying to be more accommodating, we've kind of gotten into a little bit of trouble here or there. So we're just going to defer to the clerk's page for all of our public announcements and only deal directly with our commissions on specific invitations. So just wanted to put that out here verbally, and we'll send out an email just to let everybody know on our distribution list. Thank you.
Andy, to add
Yeah.
to that, I just put in chat for those of you that want city clerk's notifications to come to your email. You can go to the link that I have on here, which is subscribe to newsletters. I think the second one down is clerk's office notifications. And then you will be getting the notifications from the clerk's office coming to you.
Thank you, Michael.
Okay. Thank you, Andy. Okay, so we still will allow public comment. I see Karen. Karen has her hand raised. Karen, please feel free to share your public comments.
Yeah, thanks very much. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, the building performance standards, I think St. Louis passed something called building performance standards. Are we looking at something similar to what was done in St. Louis?
Yeah, they're one example of building performance standards that we're looking at. We're looking at a variety of cities across the country, along with our national coalition partners, to kind of see what works for Kansas City.
And would that pertain primarily to the energy efficiency of buildings, or if not, what else would be involved in that?
Yeah, it's primarily, we'll say, commercial size buildings. I don't have a specific size yet. You know, those are all parts of the question in terms of what is that threshold for the size of the buildings we're talking about, as well as what is the standard specifically. You know, whether it's an Energy Star score or some other metrics. So all to be determined as we build through this policy.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Karen. I see Michael Wolf has his hand raised.
Hello, can you hear me? Hi, everyone. My name is Michael Wolf. I'm a resident of the 4th District and a leader with Sunrise Movement Kansas City. I just want to thank the committee for coming out in opposition to this this pro-gas resolution from Spire. I think that the weaponization of the term marginalized communities when we're talking about this is really gross, considering the history of environmental racism in this city. And I think that it's interesting that Ellen was opposed to changing language about this, given how these utility companies seem to be pitting pitting us against each other for their own profits. I also want to thank you all for your work pushing for the updated version of the climate plan with some really great stuff in there. I'm looking forward to further talking with the members of Sunrise Movement Kansas City about showing up in support for that plan when it goes to council. And lastly, I wanted to say welcome to Shirley Mata and Bo Marino. Would look forward to meeting you both and getting to know your priorities for this committee and climate action in Kansas City a lot better. We believe in building relationships with unions, and so would love to talk about the ways in which we can make sure that any greening of our economy comes with support for good paying union jobs and worker protections and the right to organize. So I'm going to drop my contact information in the chat and would love to set up a time to talk with you all. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Michael. Are there any other public comments? Oh, Shirley, yes, please, go ahead.
The only thing I was going to ask, if somebody could get me to the chats where everything's being dropped so I have access to it, it would be wonderful.
Sure. I'm just gonna share my screen of your screen. Well, I'm gonna hope to. Okay, that's not working. So on your chat, there, you see your leave button? The big red leave button, Shirley?
It looks like a telephone hang up.
Okay. And then next to it, does it say share and mic and camera?
It just has 3 dots, and when I hit them, it gives me a list of put me on hold, turn on live captions, share, raise hand, turn off video, dial pad, and meeting views. Is it the meeting views?
It might be under meeting views.
Do you want me to share my screen, Laura?
You should see an icon with a little, almost looks like a comic book language, like word bubble, like a little thought bubble.
If somebody has a similar screen to hers, it'd be great to share, because I just realized that I probably don't have what you guys have.
Shirley, are you on a phone?
I am on a phone.
Okay, let me join from a phone real quick and I'll see if I can figure out what it looks like from there.
I appreciate that, guys. I'm sorry.
No problem, no problem. And I mean, worst come to absolute worst, most of us know Michael, and we can get that contact information over to you. So while they're trying to get that figured out, yes, Michael, we'll make sure that we get that over to Shirley as well. Are there any additional comments from the public at this time?
Hello, this is Billy. Can y'all hear me okay?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Vice Chair, members of the commission, including new members. Welcome, Shirley and Bo. My name is Billy Davies. As was noted earlier, during my day job, I work for the Sierra Club Missouri chapter, staff based in Kansas City, but I'm actually speaking as a resident of the 6th district here in Kansas City. Want to echo what's already been said, just the applause for speaking out and taking a stand on this resolution. That I will just quickly add, I think it might have actually been noted, but this balanced energy, titled Balanced Energy Resolution, has actually been rejected twice by the City Council. Once it was withdrawn by, I think it was Council Member Shields a few weeks ago, and this was actually first considered right about the same time that the city was considering what eventually became Resolution 200,005 that set into motion the Climate Protection and Resilience Plan. And so I think it's important that we take a stand against efforts to water down the great work that y'all are doing. Also, very excited to support y'all's work on the Climate Protection Plan when it comes to council. Really just wanted us to encourage, as it has already been done by staff, if you are able to make it to the listening session at 4 o'clock this Wednesday, either in City Hall or virtually, to hear folks talk about this energy code update. This is one of the first initiatives that really KC undertook after the resolution was passed to update our climate protection plan. and is, as has already been said and it can't be said enough, is just an incredible way for local jurisdictions in Missouri, especially, to take action to make sure that we're building buildings that are keeping our folks healthy, keeping our utility bills down, and just continuing to help ensure all can thrive. And so would encourage you to hear the stories of folks at these meetings. Feel free to speak if you can in support of this effort. And just thank you so much again for your service.
And just jumping in, Shirley, I just sent you an email with instructions.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so are there any other public comments from the group? Raymond has his hand raised. Raymond, please feel free to share your comments.
Hi, thank you. My name's Raymond Forstatter. I'm a resident of the 4th District, and I want to first echo what Billy was saying about rejecting the fossil gas resolution. And also, I just want to flag the fact that I'm a bit concerned about the committee moving away from public exposure and releasing and sending the invites out to the public and relying on the clerk's website, especially due to the fact that this meeting and many previous ones have been incorrectly listed on the clerk's website. I know, at least for this meeting today, it was listed to be starting a half an hour earlier than it actually was. So I just want to ensure that if we are moving away from making these, I'd say, inaccessible meetings even more inaccessible, that at least the information that is provided to the public be accurate and somewhat available. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Raymond. Okay, I don't see any other hands. Okay, last call for public comment, going once, going twice. Okay, I want to thank everyone again for their time. Welcome again to Consuela. We're happy to have you, as well as Bo and Shirley. And Shirley, we will get your technical difficulties squared away one way or another. And I also want to take a moment to thank Andy, Laura, and Rachel for all of their work with helping with this. Beth, yes.
Hi, before we go, I was just wondering if you can, is there an updated sense of the climate plan timeline? Or is that still to be determined completely?
So all I can say at this point is the Brendel Group has provided the revised draft to the city as of Friday evening. So we have that, and it's been sent to our city manager and the assistant city manager for their review. So not sure how long that will take. We're just kind of taking it day by day. We'll be touching base with the city manager tomorrow afternoon to find out what, if any, concerns there may be and or how much longer they may need for a review. So as soon as we get anything back from there, then I think we'll be ready to reach back out to the steering committee, because that's in our mind, unless the city manager tells us otherwise, the next step is to come back to the steering committee and get your formal approval for the plan so we can take it to council. So, and I have my own personal goals to try to knock this out before the end of the first week in June, because I like to go on vacation in the second week of June. So it's on a really tight timeline, but that's my hopes and dreams. It's been a long road. I know we're all ready to get started on implementation. So we're pushing pretty hard to get this across the finish line at this point as quick as we can.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you again, Andy. Okay, well, thank you again to the staff for all their hard work up to this point. It really is very much appreciated. Okay, so I want to give folks 20 minutes of their time back. So can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay, Angela's been so moved. Can I get a second?
Second.
I'll give that to Bridget. All those in favor of adjourning? Aye.
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 Motion passes. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, y'all.
Take care, all.